This year, Algeria is marking its 60th anniversary of independence. Well, to talk more about Macron's visit to Algeria, let's bring in Todd Shepard, a professor at Johns Hopkins University and the author of a book on the Algerian War. Todd, thanks for joining us. This is Macron's second visit to Algeria since he first became president 5 years ago. How is this trip being seen in Algeria today?
This time, I think it's seen as a real boost again for President Tebboune of Algeria. Algeria is in a particularly strong position right now. You represent key executives from Total, the French gas and oil company that you just mentioned, that are caught up in helping the Russian army, are part of this trip because Algeria is France's biggest supplier of gas. The European Union is putting pressure on members like Spain to make things better with Algeria. So Algeria, which was really in a rough state a few years back, with the Iraq, a significant movement, with the kind of convalescence and coma of its president at the time, President Bouteflika, who was Macron famously or infamously left the hospital room where he'd visited Bouteflika, who we think was in a coma, and explained that he'd learned many political lessons from then President Bouteflika. The Iraq pushed Bouteflika out. Algeria was in a very weak position. Algeria was devastated by COVID and other things. Right now, with gas prices rising, with Europeans, particularly the French, really needing Algeria, not just to counter the effects on the energy markets in Europe produced by Russia's invasion of the Ukraine, but also by French troops being kicked out of Mali and the kind of disorganization of the anti-terrorist campaigns on Algeria's southern borders. Algeria as a country is in a really strong position. Algeria is making a lot more money now because of the gas prices. So this is seen as a moment for Algeria to shine. This is definitely seen as a moment when the French should step up and speak to and address not just economic concerns, what they can get from Algeria. Algeria is, of course, hoping, many Algerians are particularly hoping, and the President Tebboune in particular, that there'll be some further efforts on the French part to explicitly address their implication in governing Algeria for 132 years, occupying it, killing hundreds of thousands of Algerians, that kind of really deep, tense colonial relationship that has really troubled relationships between the two countries since Algeria won independence 60 years ago last month, in July of 1962.
President Macron has long ruled out issuing, though, an apology for colonialism. He has made a series of gestures that are aimed at healing past wounds. Do you really think he needs to explicitly apologize?
His gestures have been primarily addressed to French people. Everything he's done, for the most part, around Algeria, I think a lot of Algerians and most serious historians would say before he was elected president, that it was a crime against humanity what France did in Algeria, when he's made certain claims and signaled his interest in taking seriously this history. People think that's important, but what he's actually done, like most of what he does, is kind of political maneuvering. And it's been primarily addressed at memory wars within France itself. And like the usual way that French politicians, Sarkozy was a real pioneer in this, President Sarkozy, using attacks. You mentioned some of those in the introduction to the piece. Algeria didn't really exist as a nation. Algerian leadership just takes advantage of its history with France to perform things. He's done that too, to perform for French audiences. If he actually wants to speak to Algerians this time, it doesn't have to be in the form of an apology, I would suspect, but something where it's actually taking seriously Algerians as interlocutors, as equal interlocutors, as people that have their own stakes, their own history, and their own sense of dignity and want to be respected, as any country would. That's an opportunity for him. To reduce everything to apologies is a trick that he plays that feeds into the far right and far right campaigns around these issues. And he's done that a lot. But this is an opportunity for him.
All right, Todd, thanks for sharing your expertise with us. Todd Shepard there, professor at Johns Hopkins University. Thank you.
Thanks so much.